Greetings, Makadi Maswera say Dumelang. My name is Buhle and the surname is Khadeba. I'd like to welcome you in today's episode. Like I said, we are reflecting on my journey towards becoming a native shaman, what is then known in South Africa as a traditional healer. So one might want to find out, how do I know and how am I sure for certain that this is actually the path that I was meant to follow? So I'm just going to give you a little bit of my background growing up and how then I transitioned from living that life to living the life that I'm living now. So I was raised in a very Christian home, attended church almost every Sunday. I served in the youth ministry and I grew up in a home where Christian values are held high. However, then one thing that then happens towards me becoming Isangoma, or becoming a native shaman, is I started experiencing Ingulo, which is an ancestral sickness where you get sick. And this sickness oftentimes, and as was in my case, was not diagnosed by medical doctors. They did not know what was the problem. They did not know what was happening to me. And I was then taken to psychologists and all those kind of people because my sickness in particular was what other people in psychology would call as hallucinations. They would call as so they had what they called hallucinations. However, so specifically in my case in Guloyami, is that I would have real lived experiences. I would see people that I know that these people, I don't know them physically, I don't know them in this world, but these are people from the other world and from the other realm. So I would see people and I would speak to them, and also I had then this problem of hearing voices a lot. Hear a lot of voices. People weren't there, but I would hear voices, and this is how I would what now that I know, I call this an audio sensory ability. However, at that time I was confused as to what it is, and so was my family. So that's how Ingulo presented itself to me, and it started bothering me a lot while I was in high school, particularly between grade 11 and grade 12, because those were the extreme I think those were determining grades for paving my way into who I'm wanting to become as an elder. However, those also were the very difficult years of my high school year because I would zone out in exams in particular. I like if I'm writing an exam, I would zone out. My papers would go blank. I would get confused as to what was happening in the exam room. So I had that phase, particularly in my grade 11 and into my grade 12. And I remember in grade 12 it got so intense that as I was writing my business economics paper, and this was my final business economics paper, as I was writing, the paper was blank. And I called the invigilator and I told him that my paper is blank. And he looked at the paper had words, but I was not seeing it. And only when 1 hour of the paper was remaining did I start seeing the words. And also that's because Umprofeti that Besengim Hamba at the time when I started experiencing Yungulo, told them that in my bag, so in my school bag, I would have a rope, what other people call now as a bidans. So I would have that. So it told them to put bidans around me, and then that's when everything started coming now. And so and then I could write and finish the paper, but I remember that I wrote only the multiple choice and the two essays, because that's how I felt that I could actually balance. I can do that within an hour. I can manage to finish those sections, but I did not write the part 2, which is the middle part of other discussions within the exam. So those are some of the challenges that I was facing that were relating to Nguloyami in high school. However, you need to understand, between high school and me actually going to my initiation process, there was an 8-year gap, right? And the 8-year gap really was that, well, while I was in high school, my family decided to do what you call a smaller nyana ceremony to plead with the ancestors to lay low for now while I finish off school. And so after high school, ancestors didn't really bother me. And so I felt that, oh, okay, it must be that they are fine now, they are settled, and everything is okay. But little didn't know that they were not okay. And I discovered this as I then went into varsity. I went into varsity the following year after my matric. And right as I was doing my first year, I started experiencing then the signs of Ingulo. Now they started coming back, right? But now they would get so intense that every time while I was in school, 12 a.m. and 12 p.m. were the most hectic hours of my life, to such an extent that if I was in a lecture room and I'm seeing 12 approaching, I'm going to leave the lecture and the rest of everything so that I go back to my room, because I know I'm going to get intensely sick at 12 all the time. I would get so sick. I would go into what I now know as trances. I would scream, I would cry, I would zone out all the time. And particularly at 12 at night, I would then have these sleepwalking episodes. And well, obviously I was sleeping, but also I was in my dream, engaging in my dreams. Because also one thing about me is that within those episodes, I was very aware that I was seeing my great grandmother, and she would be approaching, or she'd be looking at me, and I would follow her, and she would then take me as I'm sleeping. This is happening in a dream, but if physically I am sleepwalking, and in the dream I would be going with her to where she stays, and then she would show me a sizibeni, a dam. I have a very big one. And so that was my experience then in varsity, where my friends then were tasked with the thing of having to make sure that I don't leave. One time it got so intense that I actually had to come back home and stop with school and drop out and come and sit at home. And sitting at home now doesn't actually mean that they stopped. It just means that it was better because it was being dealt with at home. All right. And then that's where now I started going to Kereke Yabapostola, Isontolga Moya, like one of those churches where they deal with Moya, because I had issues on Moya, and so they had to find a church for me to go there. And that's where my foundation towards understanding Istunya and understanding prophecy and understanding that gift in particular started. I went there, and I'd been there for quite some time. And then also the issues that I was then experiencing started slowing down. And yeah, I became fine for a couple of years. And then I went to varsity. Now I'm at varsity, I go back again, but this time I'm at verts, right? I'm trying to complete my studies and move from home, find my own place. I live there, but now dreams then start to come back, right? And upon now coming back, my dreams started being specific at that time. That there was not necessarily a problem or an issue with me harnessing and me only heeding to my gift or the gift of prophecy rather. But they had said the church where you are in, Isodolga Moya, or where you are now, we understand what is happening and we understand what is going on there. However, you cannot ignore the other parts of the gift, which is now the traditional healing aspect of the gift. So as when my great grandmother, in my dreams, now my dreams start to come back. They become intense again, but these ones now become so, those surreal dreams, they become surreal. They are specific, they are very instructional. I follow the instruction, I do as I'm told, I do whatever it is that I'm seeing in my dreams. Alright, I buy whatever it is that I'm meant to buy. And so because I was now in my own space, in my own place, I develop a smaller corner for me to put those things, develop a way to now start communicating with these people, because obviously people can come to your dreams and speak to you and you don't speak back to them. And so I started developing a way in which I felt I was now communicating with these people, and I would communicate with them and tell them, oh, okay, I want to get what you guys said I should get. I have almost everything that you guys asked from me. What do I do with it? And so for the longest of time, they would not respond as to what needed to be done with those things, right? So I would leave those things there until 2020. So in 2020, when I then went to start the journey towards Ipehla, I remember I was supposed to have gone to school, and so I wake up at 6. I go to the shower, I prepare my shower, but I feel so extremely tired. And I'm like, no, let me sleep a little bit of 30 minutes. Maybe I'm going to wake up in 30 minutes and then I'm going to go to school from there. I sleep. That 30 minutes was a life changer for me. It was a game changer. Because in that 30 minutes, I then started dreaming of my great-grandmother. Right? This woman that I referred to in saying that I would see her and she would show me Siziba that time. So I dreamt of her walking into the room, and she was with whom I call my paternal great-grandfather, right? And upon coming in, she said to me, it is time now. We have been waiting for quite some time, and now it is time. All right. So she came, she took like a suitcase and she started packing those things from that corner, right, that I had. She started packing those things, and then she noticed that there was one cloth that was not there. And in the dream she asked me, where's this particular cloth? It was a guinea fowl cloth. She asked me, where is this particular cloth? And I said, oh, I was cleaning just the other day and so I wore it. I felt I needed to wear it, and so I wore it. And she started shouting that I shouldn't wear her clothes without her actually giving me permission to wear clothes. And then after she packed, she said, everything is ready, just go. I asked her, where am I going? She says, no, you'll know today where you're going. And I'm like, but I don't have the money. And she says to me, I'm sending you, so don't worry about money. I will give you the money because I'm the one that's sending you to go there. And that for me was where life changed. And that's where so now, fast forward to me waking up from that particular dream. Now I wake up, I'm late, I'm rushing, I'm like, but something says to me, you know what, girl, just go and check in that corner what's happening. I check in that corner. I actually realized that actually that cloth is not there. And I knew, but like I answered her in my dreams. I said, it's in the laundry. I knew it's in the laundry. So just that experience on its own gave me the understanding that, oh, okay, so really this thing is happening to me, and these people are here and they know and they note and they see whatever it is that I'm doing, and so I'm going to do whatever it is that they want me to do. Call my mom as I'm going to school, and I said, I think I'm going to go towards initiation, but I don't know where I'm going. And my mom says, we must talk later when you come back from school. And I said, yeah, sure, whatever. Get into a taxi, I vibe. Way before I'm about to get off in town, Joburg, something just says get off. So I get off there by Newtownish. I buy mealies and whatnot. And I was just overwhelmed by a sense of, I changed. I lost myself in my body. I was not in my body. I started feeling strange. And then I started having a trance. I went into a trance, right? And upon being in a trance, I then see this girl. I say to her, I follow her and I go to her and I say, where's your Gobela? And he points me to this other guy and says, there he is. And I go to this guy and I say, can I have your number? And I take this guy's number. I look at this man's number. He puts his, I give him his phone, puts his number. And I look at him, like carefully look at him, and I leave. I vibe. So upon me vying now, it's when I get to class that I think of the entire experience, that I see that actually I've seen this man before. I knew him from my dreams. And it was not actually a coincidence that I had to get off from there because I was meant to meet him. I've had so many interactions with him in my dreams, and it was time for us to meet. All right. And also, just after the whole thing, when I get to campus, I received money into my account. I received money into my account. My BESA had given me money. And I was like, oh, okay, great. Everything today is just happening as I got the feel in the dream that I had earlier. Because remember, in the dream I had earlier, they told me I would have money. They told me I would be going. And they told me I would know the person that I'm going to today. So all those things had happened in that one particular day. And that's where now my journey towards becoming or going towards Indwaso starts. All right. That's my first Indwaso. It lasted a period of 6 months. I stayed in this man's house for 6 months, undergoing the process of Indwaso, undergoing the process of knowing how to pasha, knowing how to speak to my ancestors, knowing how they respond, knowing how they speak, knowing their preferences. So it was just a process of me learning them, right? And them learning about me and learning which medication they prefer and how and why, me learning bone divinity, me learning using the Bible to divine me I don't wanna, there's a word I wanna put it in. Oh, me discovering my ability to divine through water and all of those things, and me knowing how to heal other people. That's where it then began, right? And then after 6 months, this man then releases me to say, you are gonna go home. In that particular band, what you do is that you don't wait to finish and then they take you in your homecoming. You finish your ndwaso, then you go home, and then you go back to then prepare for the homecoming. So you go home, so you prepare for the homecoming at home, and then you go back, and then you come back home, you know, all of that. So that's how they did things for whatever reason. So yeah, I come back home, and upon me being at home, I work towards my homecoming, but also I work towards my ancestors actually settling in the house, in the home. And a few months into it, I start getting dreams again from them, giving me feedback as to what went right in that process, what didn't go right, what needs to be fixed, where it needs to be fixed, and how it needs to be fixed. So me being me at this point in time, I'm like, so you guys are meaning to say only about 30% of everything was done right and 70% was not done right? What are you saying to me? I was like, no, I'm not going to go through this. I am not going to go through this. I don't want to lie. I'm not going to go again and restart the process. But guess what? You see, the ancestors, aren't dumb. If they said this is what's gonna happen, then that's gonna happen, no matter how long you prolong. Because after that, having to go to the second initiation, I really prolonged. I was like, I was like, no, I'm not doing that again. I'm not gonna go and start over. I'll find a way that we are going to fix it. You need to come and tell and give me ways as to how this is going to be fixed. And so then a couple of months into me being stubborn and not wanting to listen to what they'd said, they actually came back again to cause disruption, to cause chaos, and that chaos is actually what led me to my second initiation. So in the next video, the video that follows this one, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about my second initiation, my first Gobela having taken shortcuts. I am talking about my stubbornness and me not listening. I'm talking about almost losing my life simply because not denial, but simply because having thought I can't do this again. So please come back for the next episode, which I'm gonna upload sooner, where I'll be talking about what I just mentioned. Yes, thank you.